Uh, Everybody, this is Jay Nathwani. Pretty soon, I'm going to turn it over to April, and then she will MC the rest of the things. And she didn't know that, by the way. So,
hi, my name is
April. Your turn.
See, I got so excited. My name is April Mongrain. I'm the technical manager for the CDP program. And I'm just going to read this statement. This team's call is being recorded and may be posted on DOE's website or used internally. If you do not wish to have your voice recorded, please do not speak during the call. If you do not wish to have your image recorded, please turn off your camera or participate by phone. If you speak during the call or use a video connection, you are presumed consent to recording and use of your voice or image. Thanks.
Okay, April, can we take a quick second and do an introduction from our end? It's a large group. I don't want to take that much time to do the introduction around the horn, but if you can just put your name, your email address, and who you work for in a chat, we will have all that recorded, and that will be, that's your virtual introduction.
Okay, I will do that in just a moment. April Mongrain, I am the technical manager for the CDP program, and I will put that all in the chat so you will have contact information. The team consists of Jay Nathwani, he is the PO, and our newest member of the team, which is Charles, I'm gonna mess up his last name. Charles, you wanna introduce yourself? Okay, we will introduce Charles later. So I will put all the information. Diana from NEPA has graciously agreed to do a webinar on NEPA and SHPO, and we will send it over to Diana.
Jay, you're on mute.
Thank you. Before we turn it over to a wonderful subject that you all love, that's called NEPA. I want to provide one more disclaimer that if you have not started any work on this project, please do not. Please do not. If you have to, I mean, if it's really that, please contact CEO right away and tell us what you have started or what you plan to do. I just wanted to read this and make sure everybody knows that until CEO has approved the documents, you should not be working or costing any money. Let's put it this way. So with that, Diana, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for the inside info on how I can give myself a pay raise as well. I appreciate that. I am Diana Hyder. I am the NEPA specialist, and that is the National Environmental Policy Act. I am working with Jay and April on all of these projects. I'm going to share my screen right now. So if someone can just let me know. Okay.
We can see it, Diana.
Perfect. Okay, very good. So this is a specific training for the congressionally directed spending projects. This is intended to be an overview of NEPA and the Historic Preservation Act as it applies to your projects. It's not going to be a deep dive into any environmental regulations or anything, but really kind of more of an awareness for you all of what to expect in terms of processes and requirements as we go. Please let me know or speak up if you have questions. As I am going through this PowerPoint, I certainly know that it's sometimes hard to hold your question if you have a specific question on a point that I'm discussing, but there will also be time to ask your questions at the end. So we'll go ahead and dive in here. The agenda is first, we are going to cover the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA. I will do my best to not speak in acronyms, but I know I slip. So I will try to spell things out as much as possible. As And we're also going to speak about Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. Your statement of project objectives, or the SOPO, along with an Excel spreadsheet that some of you folks may have been requested to also fill out by April and Jay, that really gets into the specifics of your proposed project. And then I'll also touch on our Project Management Center, or the PMC. And this is our online system for doing our environmental reviews, or NEPA reviews. We will also discuss the contracting officer approval, what that looks like and what that means to you, as well as finishing up with some reporting as it relates to NEPA and historic preservation. So the National Environmental Policy Act came around in 1969 and is the national charter for protection of the environment. It does require federal agencies to evaluate and understand potential environmental impacts of projects. And when we in DOE talk about our NEPA process, we're really looking at that in terms of an umbrella of many processes. So under the NEPA process, we evaluate and look at National Historic Preservation Act, Endangered Species Act, and others. So just so that you know, it is an umbrella for many other projects or programs. I'm sorry. Okay.
Is there a question? If you're not asking question, please mute yourself, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Okay, so what is the first step to a NEPA review? A lot of information here. So it really starts with getting your statement of project objectives, as well as the Excel spreadsheet, if directed to by April and Jay, nailed down. So what we're really looking for is a specific list of possible activities, and that may include maximum sizes as appropriate. So we see oftentimes broad terms like deep energy retrofits or energy efficiency retrofits, home electrification, weatherization. And depending on different parts of the country, this can really have different meanings. So if you're looking at, let's say, renewable energy measures, does that mean that you're looking at roof-mounted solar photovoltaic systems up to 10 kilowatts? That is really the level of detail that we're looking at. Energy efficiency upgrades could be replacing furnaces and hot water heaters that are appropriately sized with higher efficiency units. Some projects specify that they're looking at Energy Star level appliances. Weatherization measures. It could mean cleaning and tuning and repairing HVAC systems. We also want to know if activities are being focused on single-family homes, multifamily homes, or even commercial buildings. And if you can specify when a fuel change is being proposed, such as if you're paying to switch out gas furnaces to electric heat pumps. And certainly we want to know if there's a possibility of any activities that could occur on tribal lands or tribal properties, and if ground disturbance is going to be required for your project. Perhaps you're looking at solar installations that could be on rooftops or perhaps ground-mounted systems, those types of situations. So we really want to try to get all possible activities. That does include cost share. I know that's a question I often get. And so a comprehensive list of all these possible activities will allow you all the greatest flexibility. So I know I've spoken to one or two applicants, and you know, oftentimes there are programs that are starting with almost like a shopping list of possible activities. They have this list. They may not know where all of these activities are going to be implemented, but they are working on developing this comprehensive list. And I stress that because the way that we are able to structure our review, it could be something where these activities are being considered at any of these possible locations. So we don't necessarily need the addresses of where you're looking at implementing these activities, but we do need to know what all activities you're considering. And I say that with a little bit of an asterisk. I believe that to be the case based on some of the initial information I've seen. I have not reviewed complete project applications yet, but from what I've seen broadly, these appear to be a lot of smaller scale renewable or energy efficiency type projects, or even the weatherization. So that is the strategy that we're hoping to take. And we certainly want to include administrative, education, and training activities. So just assume NEPA applies to everything. That's a good rule of thumb when you're sharing information with us. So here,
Diana,
and I hope, yes, sir.
Before you go to the second page, from your previous slide, can you discuss a little bit more about the ground disturbance?
Actually, I'm going to get into that here in the next slide.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. So this, for those of you that have been requested to provide additional detail in an Excel spreadsheet, this is just a sample. And I apologize, I know this is small print, but I will touch on some of the highlights of it. So, and these are all just examples that I have seen in other projects, but perhaps you're considering starting with a training and education component. So you're looking at doing outreach in public meetings at, say, City Hall, rec centers, or something of that nature to share information and to get residents signed up for your program. And you may be sharing printed material as well. So you're not looking at, any sort of building modifications or ground disturbance, but you may have to develop and print materials for distribution at the meetings. The next phase of your program could be something where once you have this list of residents that are interested, you may be looking at going out and doing building assessments and energy audits, where you work with local contractors to do these assessments, and even do a solar site assessment to determine, if homes have the proper orientation for a solar system to be installed. Then based on these assessments, perhaps one of the things that a home is determined eligible for is a solar photovoltaic system. So you may not know the size on each structure, but you know that the maximum size will not exceed 10 kilowatt on any of these single family homes. So again, that's one of those maximum sizes that we need for the equipment. The next step may be in stating it could be the solar panels could be located on the roof, they could be on the side of the house, or they could be in the backyard of the home. So some of the possible scenarios of that are that you may have a home, an older home with deferred maintenance that is going to require some structural reinforcement to the roof. You may have to have replaced some shingles prior to the installation. Oop, did not mean to do that. I apologize. So those are some of the building modifications that you can enter into this column. And then under the possible ground disturbing activities. So this is where you want to specify, you may be installing up to 10 kilowatts of a solar system in the backyard of homes. You again, you don't know which homes this is going to occur, but this is something that you are considering. And in the next column under additional notes, I'm sorry? Okay. Thought there may have been a question there. So, so again, you know, if you are looking in a specific neighborhood, perhaps you know that this is an older neighborhood. You know that homes are going to be 45 years or older. Make note of that. This will help in terms of clarifying all the broad possible scope of the project. Then the last item on here is window replacement. Again, energy efficiency improvements could include that. You're going to replace existing windows with more energy efficient ones. And again, you know that these homes are probably going to be homes that are 45 years or older. These are just some examples of what you might be anticipating in your program. That's the kind of detail that we're looking for. So taking that information, again, in the meeting invite for this webinar, there were 2 documents. The first one was a Word version of our Environmental Questionnaire 1. We call that also the EQ1, as well as the EQ1 Submission Guide. So we're going to dig into that now. So once Jay and April have said you're good to go, we approve your statement of project objectives, you've completed the Excel spreadsheet with all of the information we've asked you to, you can start the NEPA process. Then you're going to take that Word version of the environmental questionnaire, the first attachment, and you're going to fill that out, the Word document. Trust me, this is going to save you headaches. You're going to fill out that document. Then you're going to look at the EQ1 submission guide, the second attachment. This is going to give you a step-by-step process of completing your registration in the Project Management Center. So once you've completed that, you're going to take your Word document and take your answers and cut and paste them into the online version of the Environmental Questionnaire 1. Our system has a lot of security requirements. It will time out on you after 15 minutes if you do not hit save. This is why I encourage everyone, it doesn't matter what program you're working on, but I encourage everyone to fill out the Word document so that you are not having situations of delays in the system timing out and it not saving data that you've entered. This really is a much easier approach. I do want to highlight that you want to select Jay Nathwani as your project officer when you're entering this in the system. And then the system will also prompt you to upload your statement of project objectives. And this is where we're also going to want you to upload your Excel spreadsheet of specific activities in your project. Once you have hit the submit button, you've gone through all of the steps and you've uploaded everything, you are going to send a quick email to Jay and April and say, hey, I've submitted my Environmental Questionnaire 1 with all of the attachments. This just allows us a checks and balance. We've had some situations where perhaps the wrong project officer was selected and information went out into the ether. And this just allows us to know what you have submitted or when you have submitted it and when we need to start looking for it. So once the NEPA review, as well as all the other reviews are completed, because there's going to be reviews for your budget and all those other documents, you're going to receive notification in FedConnect. And this signifies that the contracting officer has approved the project. So it's critical that you don't begin the project until you receive the FedConnect notification. If and we know this has happened, but if you have started your project, please notify April and Jay right away. There's some other steps that we have to take. So if by chance you've already started the project before you've received your Fed Connect notification that your project is approved, that needs to be shared with Jay and April right away so that we can address it. But assuming that that has not happened, all the reviews are completed and you've received your Fed Connect notification, the next step is that you're going to want to review all of your documents. This includes your NEPA determination, which is your attachment 6 in your documents, and you want to ensure that you understand all of the restrictions and requirements in that document. I'm going to highlight a couple of those. Excuse me. Some language that you're going to want to look for. It's going to be in all of your NEPA determinations. And I should clarify, the NEPA determination is our internal document that documents our review of your project. So that is a document that spells out, this is the project that you're proposing, these are the restrictions and the requirements. So that is our review of your project. In that document, you're going to see language that says that you're required to adhere to the requirements of your state's historic preservation programmatic agreement. So these programmatic agreements offer a streamlined process for complying with DOE's responsibilities under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. I am going to try here to shift over to another screen. Give me just a moment.
While we are waiting for Diana to switch over, I wanted to remind you that if you have any questions, please type it in the chat section, raise your hand, interrupt us, don't hold back. More questions we get, better we know that we have done a good job in communicating your concern. So thank you. Over to you, Diana.
Great, thank you. And just to clarify as well, this PowerPoint presentation will be shared with you afterwards. So just know you're going to get this with all of the links. So don't be concerned about that. But this is the link that I was sharing. And this is a DOE website that has—
Diana, you're not sharing. Sorry, you're not sharing your screen.
Thank you for saying that, Jay. I'll try that again. Okay, can you see it now? I'm sorry, Jay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. Okay, so as I was saying, this is the link to the Historic Preservation webpage. I just wanted to show this to you really quickly so you can know what it looks like. There's an intro where it provides context and it explains some of the history of these programmatic agreements. They came about after DOE received a significant funding under the Recovery Act. And so most of these programmatic agreements started around 2010. So they're older agreements. But all of the states are listed here. Every state has a programmatic agreement. So this also includes any amendments that you may have had to your state's agreement. And it also shows the expiration dates. So in 2020, we did a big effort to extend all of them. Some expired 2025, some 2030, but they are all here. I live in Colorado, so I'm going to click on Colorado's. You want to be sure to look at these amendments too, because Colorado does have some additional language in theirs. These were template agreements between the Department of Energy, the State Historic Preservation Office in every state and most territories, and programs. These programs, we've had a legal determination that these programmatic agreements apply to these congressionally directed projects, so they are included in it. But it's very important that you spend some time familiarizing yourself with this. There's a lot of nuance to the different states. Some state historic preservation offices wanted tailoring language to be tailored to their state, or they wanted to have it more restrictive, less restrictive. There's a lot of nuances to this, but I just want to highlight a couple of things here. Like in the state of Colorado, right here, under B, it talks about undertakings involving properties greater than 50 years old. So every one of these programmatic agreements define historic property in terms of age. So if you are looking at working on a building that is 30 years old, this doesn't apply. If you are doing only activities that are above ground on a structure, it's not in a historic district, none of that, it's just less than 50 years old, this doesn't apply. But it's important to look at your programmatic agreement, because some of the SHPOs, the State Historic Preservation Offices, designated that the threshold was 45 years. So again, there's some differences between states. We'll just keep scrolling down here. And at the end of this agreement, you're going to find appendices. And what these appendices do is list activities that your State Historic Preservation Office has agreed that they don't have the potential to cause effects on historic properties. So if you are, these are lists of activities. Again, another asterisk, they have restrictions, but these are activities that are exempt from historic preservation review, even when they're on historic properties. You may find that your program is proposing activities that perhaps are not on the exempted list in Appendix A or B. Traditionally, it's a little awkward the way it's broken out. Appendix A is specific. It's called for the Weatherization Assistance Program. Don't worry about that. These programs have all changed names and expanded, and in a reorganization at Department of Energy. But the Weatherization Assistance Program, traditionally in the past, was focused on weatherization activities. Another appendix is State Energy Program and EECBG. These programs have traditionally been more energy efficiency and renewable energy type projects, with perhaps a little bit of weatherization. If your proposed activity is under either one of these appendices, it is exempt. It doesn't matter which one it is. But this is where you want to review this, make sure you're familiar with this. If your activity is not listed here, you are going to want to, you're going to be required to consult with your State Historic Preservation Office.
And I wanted to make a comment. A lot of the CDP projects may fall under SCP and EECBG type of activity. Those are like lighting projects or so once again, in this case, if you don't know, just ask us. Tell us that, hey, which one should I take and which one should I apply for it? Thank you.
Right, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to switch back here So give me just a moment. And I lost where I was on this. I apologize. So when your activity is
Diana,
not
once again, you are not sharing.
right,
Oh, now it showed up. Thank you.
So if your activity is not listed as an exempted activity in the programmatic agreement, it allows you to consult directly with your state historic preservation office. So, get caught up here. I apologize. It keeps flopping backwards. So again, determine if the activities are exempted from review in the appendices. If they're not, or even if you're not clear, some language is not clear. I'll be honest with you. You're going to want to contact your state historic preservation office if you need clarification on specific language of your programmatic agreement. I have included here a link. This is a directory of all state historic preservation offices. It's going to show you their websites and contact information. It's important to note historic resources can be above or below ground. So don't think of this as just your concern is about buildings that are 45 or 50 years or older. There could be resources below ground depending on where you are working. So if you are having ground disturbance, that could trigger a historic preservation review with your state historic preservation office if it's not exempted. So just want to raise your awareness to that. If you are, I should say, when you are contacting your state historic preservation office, you want to notify them that you're operating under DOE's historic preservation programmatic agreements. It informs the office that these are federally funded projects, which has a different set of requirements. And it also alerts them to the agreement itself. We've seen a lot of staff turnover at these state historic preservation offices. So it just makes it much easier if you provide that information up front. Additional language to look for in the NEPA determination. Some projects may have language that says that activities must be documented, such as in a NEPA log. This will not apply to everybody. So, but if you do see this language, a NEPA log is a document that provides evidence that you have reviewed and complied with the restrictions of your NEPA determination. This is generally required for ground for some, and not all, but for some ground disturbing activities. So if you see this language in your NEPA determination, we're going to be reaching out to you. We're going to provide you a sample along with instructions. And this is a quarterly reporting requirement that you're going to have. Again, from some of the initial projects I've seen so far, I'm not seeing where that's necessarily going to be a requirement for a lot, but I want folks to be aware that this could be a possibility. So, NEPA, historic preservation, all of your reporting requirements that you're going to have for your award are going to be outlined in the Federal Assistance Reporting Checklist. We affectionately call that the FARC, which is a fun acronym. And again, this is also going to be in your award documents. So some things to look for from our perspective for NEPA is there is an annual report that everyone will be required for your historic preservation programmatic agreement. This is basically a report on your use of this agreement. It asks you to document and to count the number of categories of exempted activities that you utilize the PA, and if you had to consult, to document that as well. So you are going to see in your reporting checklist this designation that this is required. It's going to include a link to the report. I encourage you to look at that. It's so that you are aware of what that reporting requirement is going to be. It is submitted at the end of the fiscal year, so it's going to be the end of August that you'll be required to submit that. And it's good to know so you can be tracking that throughout the year.
Diana, there's a question.
Okay, go right ahead.
Hi, Diana. What does ground disturbance constitute?
Oh, you got me with that one. That is a question that you need to present to your State Historic Preservation Office. The template language, again, not every programmatic agreement is going to have the same language, but many of the programmatic agreements say that anything above minimal ground disturbance is going to require consultation with your State Historic Preservation Office. Minimal is not defined in the programmatic agreements. So, and I can tell you that I've had this conversation with multiple State Historic Preservation offices, and nearly all of them have a different definition. So that is very much one of those situations where you are going to want to reach out to your State Historic Preservation Office, present and have a conversation with them early. I encourage that if you are looking at ground disturbing activities, especially, let them know these are the types of activities we're considering. Our programmatic agreement says this. Does this constitute more than minimal ground disturbance? Because they're the ones that are going to have to interpret that for you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, so again, you may also have a requirement, a quarterly reporting requirement in the form of a NEPA log. So this is all going to be spelled out to you in your documents. Again, just want to give you that heads up. I suspect as you continue on through this process, you're going to have more projects or more questions about your project. Feel free to reach out to Jay and April. They're going to coordinate with me so that we can answer your questions. And this slide also has our NEPA and Historic Preservation Training website link. This is a generic website for all of the state and community energy programs. It will get more detailed into a NEPA overview as well as historic preservation, and you're going to find in your NEPA determination a requirement that you also look at this training website and review the PowerPoints on NEPA and historic preservation. So it's a great resource, not just for the training, but if you have additional questions, I think you may find some of your questions answered there as well. And that is my presentation. So we have more time for questions.
Thank you, Diana. This was very useful. Even I learned today what is minimum. Minimum is really not minimum. So this is good. It just shows us that all of us are diverse. We think differently, and it's good to always ask a question.
Absolutely.
So I'm hoping that all of you love this presentation. We are not asking you to take more of this presentation, but this is definitely the one to start, and don't hesitate to ask questions, please. Please, I mean, you guys are quiet. I mean, what's wrong? Do I have to buy you coffee? I can order donut. if that helps. April, can you kind of give us some, do you have a joke, or can you kind of, oh, Eric is going to tell us a joke. Okay, Eric.
I was just going to say, I love donuts, but it's kind of hard to get through the computer screen. I just wanted to say thank you. I think why you're not getting questions is you're answering a whole bunch of them that we had talked about internally here at SMUD. And, you know, I've been on several of these DOE grants over the last 23 years at SMUD. And I have to say, this is the most clear I've been at this point about what we need to do and the steps. I know we're going to have a separate call with you about specifics on our project, but this is awesome. No, I'm serious. It's super duper helpful.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
You've made my day, my week. Thank you for that.
and my paycheck, you know, now I can justify it. Kim.
I'll double down. I'm from SMED as well. And I think it helped us too. There's probably some missing information that in our spreadsheet. We're like, oh, wait, the outreach component, the education component. You know, we were very focused on the measures that we were trying to do. So I do think it gives us some better guidelines of where to go.
Yeah,
Great.
the only thing I regret that we didn't do this 3 months ago. I wish we should have done it earlier, but I got that message. Next year, in future, we will plan to do this much sooner.
Absolutely.
But this is our starting point.
You've got a great model. I mean, I would have loved to have it sooner too, but you've got a great model that I think your point would avoid a lot of headaches, will help us to spin up very quickly once we get everything pulled together. So hold on to this for next year.
Absolutely.
We definitely plan to do that.
I don't have any jokes, Jay, but you know, I appreciate everybody's time and attention and all the questions, and anytime that you need help, we're here.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so do you want to tell us what they need to do next? So if you have not had a phone call about SOPO with April or I, please reach out, both of us. Okay, because I'm one of those old guys who is very slow. I need to have 2 sticks around and kind of hold me, wobble through my way. So if I forget about you, I didn't mean it. Just tell us that, hey, we didn't talk to you. We need to finalize our SOPO so we can get the money, and we can do NEPA, and then we can get the contractor's approval to get money rolling. Please do that. Bother me. I have no problem. April doesn't like to be bothered, but keep her there first. Okay.
That's not true. And actually, I have a couple of calls that I need to schedule right now, just so we know, with Albuquerque and with SMUD.
Okay. So please reach out to us. Once again, any questions you have about the indirect cost, anything, please ask us, and we will try to process your award as we get things done. Please bear with us. We can't do all of them in one day, you know that, but we will try to process them as fast and as quick as we can. With that, if you don't have any more questions, then I would say thank you, and
Yes.
looking forward to working with you.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
All right,
Thank you.
April, you can
Bye-bye.
stop recording now.